channel. I'm Steve Down. This is my guitar. We are in a new series, brand new series, looking at Wes Montgomery's 4 on 6 from his album, The Incredible Jazz Guitar of Wes Montgomery. Really cool album with a not so modest title, but definitely well deserved in terms of the title. But it's one of these tunes that is a classic jazz guitar tune. It was one that really got me into guitar, not just jazz guitar, but I heard this when I was in college, I think, and I absolutely loved it. It's got such a funky groove. And when I discovered the Smoking at the Half Note version, which is like about 1,000,000 times faster, that also got me fired up for this tune as well. So it's a tune that does get people into jazz. So it's well worth looking at if you haven't heard it before, and we're going to be studying it here today. If you want to get the backing track and the transcription of this, then Patreon is the place to go to do that. I have got my friends Matt Carter, Jamie Sefton and Joe Harris again on this recording, and the backing track sounds great, so you can get that over on Patreon, and also the full transcription of the tune. We're going to be transcribing the entire thing. I'm also going to be giving you some ideas about how to comp over the solo, originally played by Tommy Flanagan of Giant Steps fame. I actually quite like that solo, but if you didn't, just drop a comment in below, let me know why. So we're going to be learning how to comp over that solo, but Matt's going to be playing his own solo over the top of that. So we're going to be doing the 9 choruses and then some comping as well. So this is going to be probably about a 10-week series. So get yourself a coffee, get yourself hunkered down, and get cracking with the practicing. Before we get into this, I just want to say a big thanks to my patrons. You guys make it possible for me to keep doing this, and loads of you have signed up over the last month where I've taken a break. So I just want to read out some of your names. So thanks to Paul Monaghan, Paul Rivera, Robert Christie, Timo Pidu, Andre, Mark, Carl, Tom, Philippe, Olivia, Paul, Jay Reed, and most recently Lucy Portnoff. So thanks so much for signing up. If I've forgotten anyone, I'm really sorry, but I really do appreciate everyone's support on here, so thanks so much. If you want to support in a one-off fashion, just have a look at the Buy Me a Coffee link below, and you know, if you don't want to do a subscription, and obviously, as always, hit the like and the subscribe button. So let's get cracking. We're going to take a look at the first half of the head. So here we go. Okay, so this is a 32 bar structure in the key of G minor. It's actually a reharmonization of Summertime by Gershwin. We're not going to be looking at the comparison with that, but it's definitely worth having a look at that and seeing if you can spot any similarities or differences or reharmonizations, substitutions, etc. Pop a link below if you know what they are. It starts with a 4-bar groove going from G minor to C9, which is a secondary dominant. So we're doing that. We're only playing roots and fifths, so we only actually know that it's a G minor and a C dominant chord from hindsight when we look later in the tune and we see what Tommy Flanagan's playing in the piano. Here, he's just playing the root and fifth, but we know that it's a G minor going to a C secondary dominant chord. Now remember, a secondary dominant is basically where you take any diatonic chord and you make it a dominant chord. Simple as that. Remember, we're in G minor here, so the relative major is B flat major. So if you know that better than G minor, then you know that the chords for that are B flat, C minor 7, D minor 7, E flat major 7, F7, G minor 7, which is our key here, and then A half diminished, minor 7 flat 5, going to B flat major 7. And the C secondary dominant, we're taking the C minor 7 and we're making it a dominant. So that's our secondary dominant. That's what we're using here. Okay, so after this we've got some outside, well, 1 inside and 3 outside 2 5s. So the first one is actually an inside one. It's C minor 7 to F7 or F dominant. I'm playing an F9 here, but either way it's an F dominant. So that's a 2-5 in B flat major. Remember, that's the relative major of G minor, so we can assume that's diatonic. Okay, so Okay, but we're not playing the 1. He never resolves it to the 1, so he just goes C minor 7 to F7. And then we've got a non-diatonic 2/5, so B flat minor 7 to E flat 7, which is a 2/5 that would normally go to A flat major 7. But again, he doesn't resolve it. And then another 2/5 in G, so A minor 7 to D 7 or D9 would go to G major 7, but no G major 7. And then the last one, really out there. So we've got a 2/5 in D flat major. I'm playing an E flat minor 9 here, but it would be an E minor 7, E flat minor 7, and A flat 7, which is the 5 of D flat major. I'm playing a 13 here, but it's just a dominant, so you know it could be a 7 or a 9 or a 13. So okay, and here he's playing the roots and the fifths. So for everything. Okay, so C and G, F and C, B flat and F, E flat and B flat, A and E, D and A, E flat and B flat, A flat and E flat. Okay, so 2/5s in B flat major, A flat major, G flat major, and D flat major. So we've got 1 inside and 3 outside 2/5-1s that we're being played over this, which is really cool. It's quite an out there sound. It's quite nice. So all in all, it sounds like this. 2/5 in B flat, in A flat, in G, and in D flat. Okay, and then it goes back to this again for 4 bars. And then we've got some stabs at the end. Okay, some diatonic stabs, B flat major 7, G minor 7, a passing chord, non-diatonic, A flat minor 7, going to A minor 7, which is kind of diatonic. It should be A minor 7 flat 5, A half diminished, but it's pretty much there. And then another secondary dominant. This is an altered chord. I'm playing a D7 sharp 9. But it is a secondary dominant because remember, in this key, it would normally be a D minor 7 that would be the diatonic chord, the 5th of G minor, or if you're in the key, the relative major, it's the D minor 7, the 3rd chord there. And they've made it a dominant chord and an altered chord at that because it leads back better to G minor. So that's why it's there like that. So. Okay, and it is quite staccato the way that he plays it with his thumb, like that. But if you're using a pick, okay, it's going to be a brighter sound, a clearer sound. But a lot of you I know are playing with picks, so try it both ways and see how you get on with it. Okay, so that's the first half. The second half, he's got a melody that he's put over the top of it, and it is a diatonic melody. Even when he's playing over those outside ones, he's playing diatonically within those 2/5s, so within those keys. The way he starts it is off the end of the last 2 bars of the one of the tonic and fifths going over the G minor and C9. So he stops there and jumps to that note, which is the start of the melody line. So the first 2 bars. Okay, that's all diatonic of the scale of G natural minor, which is this. Okay, so that little melismatic line, hammer on, pull off between the D and the E flats. And then a G minor arpeggio there, okay? Okay, that's still diatonic of G natural minor. So all of this stuff comes from G natural minor. So keep that in your heads because he's going to come back to that later as the palette which he uses to paint with. As well as some other things as well. That note there is the 9th, and that's, or is really nice. It's a really nice note to be putting over the top of a G minor. So again, remember that, because sometimes as jazz musicians we like to draw on the head, the melody from the head. So it's good to remember how we approach the head and use some of that in your solo. Now over the top of the inside and outside 2/5s, he's actually doing something which is cool. He's playing the tonic triad of each 2/5. So there, that is the triad, obviously sliding in from below, of B flat major. So D, B flat, and F. The drop 2 version of it. And there, basically, what that is, kind of giving you over the top of the C minor 7 chord that's underneath is the 9th, the flat 7, and the 11. So it's a really nice sound. Again, bank this stuff because you might want to come back to it later. And then when he hits the F7, the F dominant, the note in the melody is an E flat, which is the flat 7 in relation to that. So, and then he moves that down, okay? Essentially just moves it, cycles it through all of those 2/5s, approaches it from above for A flat. So there's the A flat arpeggio there. So C, A flat, and E flat. And then going down to the flat 7 of E flat 7, so the D flat. And then same thing again, approaching from above, G, so the notes of G major, B, G, and D, and then going to the flat 7 of D, 7 there, the C. So, and then this one, because we'd run out of frets if we went down any lower for the 2/5 and D flat, he goes up here. Okay, and this one's approach from above, so doing a D flat triad there, so F, D flat, and A flat, and then going to the flat 7 of A flat, the G flat there. So okay, it's tricky getting from here, and I'm using kind of a bar roll there, so I'm rolling my finger across the strings to, okay, just watch you don't bend it, I slightly bent it there. Okay, so it's just moving the pressure over the string like that, so shifting the pressure as you go up the strings rather than kind of going, otherwise you get all of the notes blending into each other if you just bar it straight off. You don't want that, so using a bar rolling technique actually aids you to be able to shift the weight and kind of make sure that the notes kind of deaden as you play them one after the other. So that's that section, and then he basically goes back to the original melody from the beginning of this section again, and then at the end you've got those chords again, and then back to the root and tonic over the top of the G and C for 2 bars. A really interesting extra bit of information here is that on the Smoking at the Half Note record that I talked about at the beginning with Wynton Kelly Trio, he actually doesn't play this. What he actually does is he substitutes it with some chords. So he plays instead a C minor 9 and then a F dominant sharp 11. Okay, Lydian dominant chord, that's sometimes known as, because of the note that's used in that, the sharp 11. We play a Lydian dominant scale because it is used over the top of a dominant chord predominantly. So, okay, that's a Lydian dominant scale there in F. He's not playing the scale, he's just playing the chord. Okay. Now, what's interesting is about this is, firstly, he cycles it through all of the other ones. So you've got C minor 9 going to F dominant sharp 11, B flat minor 9 going to E flat dominant sharp 11, A minor 9 going to D dominant sharp 11, and then E flat minor 9 going to A7 sharp 11. There's no 9 in that one. Okay, for that voicing. What's interesting about this is the fact that normally a Lydian dominant chord or a dominant sharp 11 would be used as a tritone substitution. So in the context of B flat for the first 2/5, it would actually probably be used to substitute the F. So we would substitute the F dominant chord with B, and we would make that a dominant sharp 11 because it voice leading wise it works better like that. Okay. But here, he's not actually doing that. He's using the dominant sharp 11 over the top of the functioning dominant, the F, which is the one that, you know, if you're in the key of B flat, then that's the one that you'd be using. And this is a good lesson to say that if it sounds good, then just use it. Okay, like he uses it. He thinks it sounds cool, and he uses it. He's not thinking theoretically, oh, I must use a B here because that's where, you know, traditionally this dominant sharp 11 Lydian dominant chord is used. He's just using the chord because it sounds good, and it's all stabs like that, and then back into the melody from there. It's well worth knowing that, and it's tabbed out obviously on the screen, but go and have a listen to it. Obviously it's at 1,000,000 miles per hour faster than the original version, but it's still worth learning that version of it. If you're going to use it in your band with your friends, then I would try both versions. I personally prefer the Wynton Kelly version with this. Obviously on the solos he doesn't use those stabs on there because that would just disrupt the flow, but he uses it in the head. So give that a try. So that is the head. That's pretty much it. And there's some interesting theory going on in there. One thing to remember is, try and have a look at the natural minor, the G natural minor, because that is going to be part of his palette. Obviously, he's going to use some other things as well, but it will be part of his palette for his solo. Note how he uses arpeggios over the top of it as well. We've got the tonic arpeggio, the G minor arpeggio in the second bar of the melody. We've got all of those tonic arpeggios used over the inside and outside 2/5 section, and then we've got those chords at the end there as well. Those little stab chords. Just make sure you know those as well. But you can see he's staying inside the diatonic area for a little bit and then going outside. So that should give you an indication of his kind of inside-outside kind of mentality that he's probably going to come back. In fact, he will come back to later on. Make sure you get your head around the 32 bar structure. You understand roughly hourly how it sounds, so that when we get to soloing, it's not going to be completely alien to you. We're going to be looking at all 9 choruses. So this is going to be probably a 10, 11 week, maybe even 12-week course looking at it. I'm going to try and get a video out next week, if not the week after. I'm getting quite busy at the moment with session work kind of starting back up this week in real time. This week I'm on Radio 2 with Joss Stone, and next week I'm at the O2 Arena with Tebe. So it's getting quite busy session-wise for me. So if I don't put out one every week, it will be at least every other week. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. All that to say, have a good practice session this week. Let me know if you have any issues. Put some stuff in the comments below if you want to say thanks, or if you want to counter me on anything, or just provide some extra info that you think might be useful for other people. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and if you want to get the backing track that I've made for this and also the transcriptions and exercise packs, then go over to Patreon. The link is on the screen. Happy practicing. I'll see you next week. Bye.